music is the single most underrated and overlooked power in all of One Piece, because with everything that's going on in the story recently, I've been thinking about one question that could change everything about the endgame. What if the key to defeating the ultimate evil is music? Which I know sounds a little bit ridiculous in a series full of godlike magical powers, but Oda has been planting seeds pretty much throughout the entire series, and especially in recent years. Like, he's made music a core force in the entire world of One Piece from the very beginning. And right now, with everything that's happening on Elbaf, there are big signs to me that music might be the only thing that can truly disrupt Imu's darkness, and more specifically, their demonic possession. And to do this, in this video, I will be pulling evidence from Binks, Film Red, all of the musical powers that we've already seen in the story, how Drum Island of all things fits into this, and of course talk about that silly little rhythm called the Drums of Liberation. So let's start with how music might be the secret weapon that Joy Boy actually left behind on Laugh Tale from the Void Century, because the pirate song Binks Sake is one of the only true records that we have left from the Void Century, alongside the poneglyphs scattered around the world, and I guess also the Harley text from Elbaf. So it is pretty important, and we've been shown all throughout the story basically that this song spans like multiple generations. We've seen it played by Brook, by the Straw Hats, the Pirate King Goldie Roger and his crew played it during their journey to find Laugh Tale, which kind of means that Shanks and his crew know that song pretty much as well as a guarantee. And those are the pirate crews who are most closely connected to the One Piece. Roger found it, and Shanks and Luffy are right on the path to following in the Pirate King's footsteps, especially with Shanks also being now revealed to be a child of prophecy. So clearly Binks Sake is an important song, but you might be wondering, well, yeah, but it's just a song, Manu. Songs can't do anything in a fight or anything like that. I haven't seen a song punch recently. Well, that's where you'd be wrong, because the secrets of the song and its lyrics, but also its melody, might just be the key to defeating the Demon King Imu and the world government altogether. And the way that I see it, you can break it down in two different ways. Also, let me quickly put this away, because otherwise I'm just gonna keep fiddling with this. Alright. I believe that Binks Sake is the history of Joy Boy's crew and the downfall of the Ancient Kingdom, and I've actually made a whole video breaking down the secrets of the lyrics, but the main ideas here are that this song tells us the story of two brothers or friends and their journeys and conflict, or also, in extension, kind of the different worlds, the first two worlds of the One Piece world that we learned about in the Harley text as well. I think that it hints that Joy Boy and his crew went around the world making a lot of friends, like someone else that we know, but the downfall of the One Piece world, the second world, came because of the ancient weapons and how using them most likely caused that great worldwide flood that Dr. Vegapunk has also told us about. There are a lot of really cool details that I think Oda hid in that song, like literal references to the sea levels rising 100 meters 2 times. You should check out that video later if you're interested about that. But the gist is that this song is super important to understanding what happened in the past and possibly learning what not to do in the future. Like, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't just be firing off those ancient weapons at anything that moves and talks back to you. I don't know. But hold on, let's stop here for a moment, because Binks Sake is not just a history lesson from the past. No. In fact, I was actually thinking that Binks Sake might have a different purpose altogether. And I already mentioned that Roger was very familiar with the song, so what if this song has something to do with actually finding the One Piece itself? And I want you to really think about this for a moment. What if you have all 4 road poneglyphs, but you also need the song Binks Sake to truly unite the 4 messages that they all have somehow? You know, it could be kind of like a cipher that you use to break the secret code, or something more magical that does connect this information and really puts the 4 stones together. Like, think about it this way. You have the 4 unbreakable poneglyphs that carry some sort of instruction to finding the secret location of the One Piece, but isn't it also equally likely that those 4 poneglyphs would fall into the wrong hands? Like, what if Imu had somehow found all of them over the last 800 years? Well, if you were planning for that, then maybe you would include the key to unlocking the message in a pirate song that Imu or the world government would never come close to and just think is some stupid pirate shanty that they don't need to care about whatsoever. You kind of get what I'm getting at here? It would be very 4D chess, kind of like a Giger brain move by Joy Boy, two parts of the puzzle, one written on unbreakable stone, the other being a song that's passed on through generations of pirates that is just impossible to censor because it is spread from mouth to mouth in a way that can never be contained. And it really does fit the whole theme of the story, with unbreakable willpower like hockey and freedom like being a pirate, and the song sort of being inherited will itself. Like, Roger could have hinted at that from his execution platform. But on top of all of that, Binks is not even close to being the only important music-related thing that we get in One Piece. And so now I do want to talk a little bit more broadly about what music actually does in the story, because if you've been paying attention, you've realized that Oda has really been hammering home that importance of music in the recent years. Brook is the musician that we know the best, and his music can even affect people's souls, like in a very real power-like way. So I can't believe that I'm saying this, but if Brook's music can actually release people from Emo's demonic possession, then he could actually be somehow the most important part of saving the Giants of Elbaf, defeating the Holy Knights, and taking down Emo at the end of the story. And just to be clear here, I'm not saying that's gonna be happening for sure, 100% guaranteed, but considering Brook's influence on the soul like we saw very actively with Big Mom's homies in Whole Cake Island, he may very well show us just how important music is to freeing the world and bringing the next dawn. I mean, Brook might suddenly shoot up to become the real MVP of the final series, just like he was in Whole Cake Island, without even getting a real battle. All my guy really needed to do was bring his guitar. But of course, he's not the only person in the story with music-themed attacks. I mean, Elbaf's very own Sculptor Gaban, my man, seriously, just look at his attack here against Saint Summers in chapter 1149. He didn't just cut him, he also stopped him from regenerating, which is the key point. And while the attack itself is very impressive and very clearly linked to Conqueror's Haki as we learn later, I do want you to pay attention to the name of his move here. Axe Symphony, as in a musical symphony, like a set of music played in an organized way. So could it be that Oda has been hinting at the fact that music in general, or a specific rhythm, is actually the key to canceling out Emo's abilities such as regeneration, or is it simply a more advanced form of Haki that Luffy will need to learn, like, a next step of Conquerors? It does seem to be the case, but it could be both. It could be that music or rhythm is the key to unlocking the next level in your Haki journey. I do think that it's actually really likely, but even if not, it does still show us that music is always on Oda's mind, and it has been on his mind for a very long time now. He even designed an entire character with musical powers, because did you forget about my man Scratchman Apu, everyone's favorite supernova? I mean, I kind of did until I remembered him for this video, but in case you forgot, Apu attacks by using different musical parts of his body to play music, and that music then becomes a destructive power that can quite literally make people explode. So music equal power is what Oda has been trying to show us many times, but there is a catch here. Music loses its power when people cannot hear it, just like Apu's attacks lose their power when people cover their ears. Or another way to put it is that music has no power when it's being silenced. And this is like a crazy inverse of everything that we've been talking about, because music obviously represents freedom. It kind of always has. It's joy and energy and creativity, but when you silence music, you cut off the freedom and the connection between people. And in my mind, that's what Emo is truly all about. Emo wants silence. Emo wants secrecy and control and everyone to fall in line. I mean, the guy literally didn't say anything for the first 10 times that we saw him, just dots, and they're all about controlling the entire world from their little secret palace on top of the empty throne. I mean, Emo is like the worst group chat ever, because no replies, total silence, and occasionally they erupt in anger. You know who I'm talking about. You have that person in your group chat as well. And again, this is like the total opposite of what Luffy and music represent in the story. Music connects people across distance and time. People can sing the same song all around the world and in different eras and celebrate together. And that's sort of one of Luffy's biggest goals, to party and have a good time with people all around the world. Also, music can encode information. It is kind of used even in our world to encode information and pass it on to future generations. And we see a lot of this at the end of every major arc, like in Thriller Bark or Fishman Island. When the bad guy is defeated, it's time to drink, eat, play music, sing, and dance. They also played music when the Straw Hats entered the New World, and Luffy brought freedom to Skypiea by ringing a giant golden bell, and then at the big party we see the Nika pose for the first time, right? Luffy also gave us the absolute worst attempt at ever singing a song that we've seen in Skypiea, but I'm gonna save you from having to relive that terrible song right now by joining the Patreon. And over there we've been crafting a bunch of really unique and incredible perks for you, like special artwork, my early chapter reviews, community polls, a lot of bonus content, and so much more. So if you want to help me and the team continue to make even more amazing content for you in the future, this is the best way to help us. And if you don't have any money but you're curious anyways, we do have some free perks too, like our weekly One Piece newsletter that covers everything there is to know in the weekly One Piece news. But with that, back to the video, because if it wasn't obvious enough just how important music is in One Piece, let's rewind all the way back to the East Blue. Luffy literally mentions that he wants a musician in nearly every single arc, starting as early as chapter 2 of the story. You know that this isn't just a random detail, it is one of the most important things that Oda wanted for Luffy's crew above really anything else. I mean, how many ways does Oda need to show us that music represents freedom in the story and is one of the most important things for Luffy to become Pirate King? Am I right? And did I mention that even Shanks has a pair of musicians on his crew, Monster and Bonk Punch here? So if the one guy who probably knows the single most about Laugh Tale at this point has a musician on board, you can bet that music is a huge deal. Brook's old crew, the Rumbar Pirates, were an entire crew full of musicians, and they may be more important than we thought, given that we might be getting more of Brook's backstory soon. On top of that, the Kid Pirates are all named after famous musicians and musical genres, showing once again that Oda's obsession with musical references is no joke. And before I get even deeper with you into why music might help defeat Emo's darkness, there are some other wild musical connections for some other story elements that I think are worth mentioning in the context of this video. For example, have you ever noticed that Oda loves the sound effect Don? It's literally everywhere in the story, and now it's basically the signature sound every time Luffy goes Gear 5. And if you say it out loud, Don sounds very much like a drum beat. So Oda's been very subtly playing this drum rhythm throughout the entire series when you think about it. Also, Don is part of the Binks song, and it appears every time that, you know, the ancient weapons I think get used in the song, and the world floods a little bit, connecting Luffy's heartbeat to the ancient weapons and Luffy powering up ancient technology, which has been happening the entire last 2 arcs. And get this, one translation of Gunko's name is actually war drum. A war drum in Japanese is Gunko. Please take that one however you want. Then of course we have the ancient history, the Harley text that's written as a poem. Plus, we literally had a full-on musical moment with Big Mom at the start and end of Whole Cake Island. We've seen Kozuki Hiyori play the shamisen, and that very same instrument was then used during act transitions in Wano. Like, there was even a freaking rave party going on in Wano, but here is the wildest part that I think you've also been waiting for. Because remember Uta, Luffy's somewhat canon childhood friend from film Red that was a whole musical, and her crazy musical powers? Even though the movie isn't officially canon, at least to a degree, Oda did say something very interesting about the demon monster at the end, Tot Musica. Now for those of you who don't remember, Tot Musica is a demon monster summoned whenever someone sings the song called Tot Musica. Duh. It could have wiped out everyone if it hadn't been stopped by the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates working together. And in a special voice release in Japanese theaters, Oda actually confirmed that there is something like this musical demon in the real One Piece world, which, if you think about it, is a bonkers thing to actually state in a movie like this. But let's switch gears now a little bit, because we've talked a lot about Binks Sake and the Drums of Liberation, but what about, for instance, Drum Kingdom? Now, this one's probably caught you off guard a little bit. I mean, Drum Island's all about doctors and snow and all that stuff, right? Not music. Well, kind of, yeah, but the name is Drum for a reason, I think. Look back at that arc. There are some insanely important details, I think. For instance, in chapter 154, Dr. Kureha first drops the bomb about the mysterious D-Clan, revealing Roger's true name, Gol D. Roger. Now, since then, we've learned so much about the D-Clan being the true enemies of the gods. Tons of important characters carry the D initials. So to me, it's very interesting that it's been brought up on Drum Island first, and you see where I'm going with this. There have been a lot of theories about what the D stands for. Dawn, Destiny, Devil, but what if it actually stands for Drum? The Drum Clan. I mean, if you think about it, it fits pretty perfectly with the Drums of Liberation and the idea that the D-Clan were ancient enemies of Emu and the world government. Like, maybe the D in Gold D Roger stands for Drummer Dude. And on top of that, Drum Island showed us just how hope and freedom can truly heal an entire country that has suffered for so long. So it could make a lot of sense if the Drum Clan brought that same hope and freedom to the entire world. Maybe that was Joy Boy's true plan all along. Maybe that's what Luffy's real dream is. I mean, Joy Boy left the world clues in the poneglyphs and Binks so that one day someone would awaken these drums of liberation and save the world from Emu's darkness by spreading music, freedom, and joy. And if that doesn't sound like the ending of One Piece, then maybe you've been reading the wrong story, bro, because everything that we've discussed so far with Binks, all the musical attacks, and the secrets of the D-Clan are sort of just the beginning of the true power of music that we get, because if there is one specific kind of music that can help counter Emu's darkness powers, then it has got to be Luffy's Drums of Liberation that started playing when Luffy awakened his Devil Fruit for the first time. And just to quickly explain again what this is, whenever Luffy goes into his Gear 5th, his heart starts beating in a very specific rhythm that we now know is called the Drums of Liberation. You already know without a doubt that this rhythm is extremely important in regards to ancient technology and creatures that were alive back in the Void Century, just like Emeth, who woke up once he heard Luffy's Gear 5th heartbeat in chapter 1092 and 1106, or Zunisha. And keep in mind that we already know that Emeth was friends with Joy Boy. It was literally the first flashback panel we ever got of the man. So I've always been wondering if the Drums of Liberation could be a secret energy source for ancient technology, maybe even the original Mother Flame, which would maybe explain also why Luffy or Nika is known as the Sun God. Then, as I mentioned, we also have Zunisha, who very clearly recognized the rhythm once Luffy awakened his Devil Fruit, because the giant elephant was like, oh, hey, yeah, Joy Boy's back, cool. So again, another Joy Boy related person, friend maybe, with a real tie to the Drums of Liberation, recognizing it as the iconic symbol of Joy Boy. So very clearly there are these deep connections with the past, with Joy Boy, Nika, but what does it mean for the future of the story? Like, how is this musical rhythm gonna help Luffy and the crew defeat Emu in an actual fight? And please do put on your seatbelt now, because I have some hard practical reasons and some more thematic messaging that just makes way too much sense when you actually think about it. First, I want to look at what happened with Emeth on Egghead Island. The ancient Iron Giant hears that rhythm, wakes up, and instantly starts helping Luffy and the crew fight against the Gorosei. But what if Emeth is not the only ancient technology still in the world, right? I'm not even talking about stuff like the ancient weapons, which are kind of their own separate thing, it seems. I'm kind of thinking, what if there's like an army of these robots, for instance, just waiting to hear the Drums of Liberation again? They're just kind of slumbering somewhere on the ocean floor and ready to, get into action. And we have kind of already seen something like that happen with the automata that NL found on the moon. So I very certainly think that it's possible that there is a much larger version of that somewhere in the One Piece world, hidden away, waiting for the right time to be used. Who knows, maybe there's a whole army of them on Laugh Tale and Roger couldn't use them because he did not have Luffy's Devil Fruit. That's maybe why he was too early, and if that were to be true, then that could be a huge way to add more powerhouse fighters to the good guys' side when it comes to the final war, which they really need. I mean, the government already has Pacifista and the Seraphim to kind of counter stuff like Emmet, I guess, so why couldn't Luffy's side have some of these robots too, but even more busted? Just imagine that Luffy names them all something like Beepy or Zap Zap, like 500 of them, no one would be able to stop these guys then. But on top of that, we've now seen in Elbaf that emo truly has dark demonic powers. There's the whole regeneration and immortality with the Holy Knights, plus emo's demonic own possession, the Domi Reversi, but given the importance of the Drums of Liberation, I feel like there's a really good chance that the Gear 5th Heartbeat could be the true key to disrupting emo's ability here. I mean, really, just look at how badly Joy Boy's Haki has previously affected emo. It quite literally made emo shake unlike anything we've ever seen in a story before across half the globe on the other side of the Grand Line, so maybe that's because the Drums of Liberation can negate emo's dark abilities, and that left emo with like a very serious case of PTSD, got really triggered if you want. And even more specifically, I think that music will have a big effect on what happens with Gunko as well. I mean, we've already seen that the Holy Knight is a very big fan of Brook's music in chapter 1144, and also seems to have some past connection with the Straw Hats musician in chapter 1150. And now that she's been possessed by emo, I truly think that music will be the key to freeing her. Now, that could be the Drums of Liberation, or it could be music that Brook plays that awakens Gunko's soul, brings back her memories. Maybe it is gonna be Binks, or if not that one, then it could be the song New World, since Gunko already told us that she's a big fan of that song specifically. I don't know, maybe a special song that Brook just played for her during her childhood that she remembers. So yeah, music just might be the key that the Straw Hats need to save the Giants here in Elbaf and save Elbaf altogether. But if you think we're done, you're wrong, because I want to bring this now back to the big one, Tot Musica, the musical big demon from film Red. Because remember how Oda said that there is something like this in the real One Piece world, which, again, just kind of insane that he said that, right? Is he talking about emu or some other dark musical force we just haven't met yet? We don't know yet, but the existence of a powerful magical music creature tells me there's gonna be a showdown between a pure light song of good and some dark demonic tune. Maybe that's the real battle between Luffy's Drums of Liberation and Emu's demonic control. And honestly, I kind of feel like that ties perfectly into the core themes of music in the story. Emu's darkness is all about control, secrecy, and silencing anyone who opposes the government. Music, on the other hand, is freedom, joy, and sometimes chaos. I mean, that is basically Luffy as a character when you think about it, right? Like, he's gonna bring that wild, uncontainable energy to the final war, and there won't be any silence when Luffy's Drum of Liberation echo across the battlefield. I can kind of already picture his heartbeat lifting up all his friends and allies, making them more powerful, pushing back Emu's darkness from the sky. I mean, Luffy's heartbeat legit might be like the squad's hype song, like Bard magic in some RPGs actually making people more powerful, and we'll probably see all of this happen on Elbaf even when Luffy finally joins the fight against Emu. I am very curious if he'll be able to free the Giants from Emu's control and maybe even kick Emu out of Gunko's body altogether. Alright, and so I've been going full theory mode here, but I do think that there's a ton of support for music really being the key to the ending of One Piece. And of course, we're still unraveling all of that and the connections to Joy Boy and the past and all of this, and you probably know that for many years everyone has tried to unlock Binks' true secrets, but after retranslating the whole thing for the first time properly, I think I found some absolutely shocking revelations that could truly explain how Joy Boy and the Ancient Kingdom were defeated. So if you want to learn the real meaning behind Binks' and all the details and hints that Oda put in there, you can check out that video right here. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Thanks to all the Patreons, you guys rock, and I will see you in the next video. Binks の酒を届けに行くよ